The gentle hum of environmental systems aboard Stellar Research Station Omega provided a soothing backdrop as Dr. Nadia Patel adjusted her microscope. The soft blue glow from the specimen container illuminated her dark features as she studied the iridescent scales before her. The clock display showed 0200 station time, perfect for uninterrupted research. 3 years into her assignment as the station's leading xenobiologist, Nadia had grown accustomed to the quiet solitude of night shifts. The massive research facility, home to over 40 alien species, operated around the clock, but few chose to work during the artificial night cycle. This suited her perfectly. Fewer interruptions meant more time with her beloved specimens. The scales belonged to the Vraxians, a newly discovered sentient species resembling Earth's ancient sea creatures. Their biology fascinated Nadia, particularly how their scales changed color based on emotional states. She was documenting these changes when her research terminal chimed with an urgent message. Dr. Patel, your presence is requested in Habitation Ring E, Section 12. Priority level, immediate. The station AI's voice was calm but firm. Nadia frowned. The Vraxian nursery was in Section 12. In her experience, immediate usually meant trouble. She quickly secured her samples and grabbed her medical kit, her mind already racing through possible scenarios as she hurried through the station's curved corridors. The temperature dropped noticeably as she approached the Vraxian sector. The amphibious species preferred their environment cool and humid, reminding Nadia of Earth's tropical waters at depth. 2 Vraxian elders met her at the entrance, their scales shifting between worried purple and anxious green. Doctor, thank you for coming, the taller one, Elder ZYX, spoke through their translator. We have a situation with the hatchlings. The nursery was a vast chamber filled with shallow pools, each maintained at precise temperatures and mineral concentrations. Normally, the pools would be teeming with playful Vraxian young, their scales flickering with joy as they learned to swim. Tonight, 3 pools lay ominously still. When did you last see them? Nadia asked, already scanning the water with her medical tricorder. 4 hours ago, during the evening feeding, Elder Krell replied, their scales now a deep blue of distress. 15 hatchlings, just, gone. Nadia's hands tightened on her scanner. Vraxian hatchlings couldn't survive outside their carefully maintained pools for more than a few hours. Her device showed trace elements that shouldn't be present, synthetic compounds that made her blood run cold. This wasn't an accident, she said quietly, showing them the readings. These are residues from a sophisticated stasis field. Someone took them deliberately. The elder's scales blanched to pure white, terror in Vraxian biology. Nadia understood their fear. The station was supposed to be secure, a safe haven for research and cultural exchange. If someone could steal hatchlings from here. She accessed the station's security feeds, her fingers flying over the holographic interface. 3 months of footage revealed a pattern she'd nearly missed: small power fluctuations during night cycles, unauthorized access to environmental controls, and most damning of all, supply crates with suspicious energy signatures leaving the station. Computer, cross-reference these shipment logs with known trading routes, she commanded. The result made her stomach turn. Every shipment had gone to coordinates in the outer rim, where regulation was sparse and questions were rarely asked. A memory surfaced from her academy days, a lecture about black market trading in exotic biological materials. Vraxian scales were incredibly valuable for their unique properties, and hatchling scales were the most precious of all. Nadia straightened, her decision made. The station's security protocols would take days to verify her findings. The bureaucracy would demand evidence, meetings, and approvals. But those hatchlings didn't have days. Elders, she said, her voice carrying the weight of centuries of human protective instinct, I need access to all your breeding records, and I need them now. Someone is trafficking in Vraxian young, and I promise you, they've just made their last mistake. As she began her investigation, Nadia didn't know she was about to uncover something far larger than missing hatchlings. She didn't know her actions would spark a chain of events that would remind the galaxy why humans had earned their reputation as the most formidable defenders of the innocent. But she did know one thing: whoever was responsible was about to learn a very painful lesson about humanity's capacity for righteous fury. Nadia's office resembled a war room 12 hours into her investigation. Holographic displays flickered with shipping manifestos, security feeds, and biological readings while she pieced together a disturbing puzzle. Each new detail made her jaw clench tighter. Cross-reference these energy signatures with all outbound cargo from the past 6 months, she instructed her terminal. Data streams coalesced into a pattern that confirmed her worst fears. The Vraxian hatchlings weren't the first victims, they were just the latest. The trafficking operation was sophisticated. They used modified stasis units disguised as standard cargo containers, each carefully shielded to avoid detection. But they'd made one crucial mistake: the power requirements for maintaining precise biological stasis couldn't be hidden completely. Dr. Patel. A soft chime announced Senior Security Officer Rylix, their crystalline form refracting the office lights. We've reviewed your report, but without concrete evidence of criminal intent. Without concrete evidence? Nadia interrupted, projecting a series of biochemical analyses. These residues show controlled substances used for sedation. The power signatures match illegal stasis technology. And here, she highlighted a series of transactions, money flowing through shell companies linked to the syndicate. The Crimson Syndicate had started as a legitimate trading corporation before expanding into less savory ventures. They were notorious for finding legal loopholes and maintaining plausible deniability. Yet something about this operation felt different, more desperate, more reckless. Rylix's crystals dimmed sympathetically. Dr. Patel, I understand your concern, but the syndicate has diplomatic immunity in 3 sectors. We need absolute proof before. A priority alert cut through their conversation. Nadia's blood turned to ice as she read the message. 2 more nurseries had reported missing young, this time from the Clorthian delegation. The plant-like species produced seedlings only once every decade. Still need proof. Nadia's voice was deadly quiet. How many more children need to disappear? After Rylix left, Nadia accessed restricted xenobiology archives. The connection hit her like a thunderbolt. Vraxian hatchling scales. Clorthian seedling sap. Both contained compounds crucial for manufacturing certain types of neural enhancers, drugs that were strictly controlled in civilized space. Her terminal chimed with an encrypted message from Elder ZYX. We found something in the nursery logs. Before each disappearance, environmental controls showed microscopic adjustments, changes so small they wouldn't trigger alarms. Nadia's fingers flew over the holographic interface. The adjustments created perfect conditions for sedating and transporting young without detection. Only someone with intimate knowledge of Vraxian biology could have programmed them. Computer, who has accessed Vraxian biological data in the past year. The list was short but revealing. Among the authorized personnel was a name that made Nadia sit up straight: Dr. Ven Korlix, a respected xenobiologist who'd recently taken a lucrative position with a pharmaceutical subsidiary. A subsidiary owned by the Crimson Syndicate. Digging deeper, she found Korlix had accessed data on multiple species young, always those with valuable biological properties. The pattern was clear, but proving it would be another matter entirely. A message flashed across her screen: another shipment scheduled for tonight. More lives ready to be sold to the highest bidder. The station's security protocols would take days to verify her evidence, and by then it would be too late. Nadia closed her eyes, remembering the empty pools in the Vraxian nursery. She thought of desperate parents across multiple species, their children vanishing into the dark between stars. The rage that filled her wasn't the hot, explosive kind, it was the cold, calculated fury that had driven humanity to cross galaxies and survive countless challenges. Computer, access my personal files. Authorization Patel Omega 9. A hidden folder appeared, containing equipment specifications and security protocols she'd collected over 3 years. Knowledge was power, and Nadia had made it her business to know everything about Station Omega's operations. Not because she was paranoid, because she'd learned early in her career that sometimes being prepared meant the difference between life and death. She began composing a message to an old friend from her academy days, now working in Federation intelligence. The official channels might be bound by red tape, but there were other ways to get things done. The syndicate thought they were untouchable, protected by bureaucracy and diplomatic immunity. They were about to learn that they'd overlooked something crucial. Humans had a long history of finding creative solutions to impossible problems, especially when protecting the vulnerable. And Nadia Patel was about to give them a crash course in human ingenuity. As she worked, a quote from her grandmother echoed in her mind: "The most dangerous predator isn't the one that roars the loudest, it's the one that plans in silence." The syndicate had planned their operation carefully, but they'd made one fatal miscalculation. They'd assumed that because she was just a xenobiologist, because humans were rare in this sector, that Station Omega was an easy target. Time to remind them why humanity had earned its reputation as the galaxy's most determined protectors. "Don't worry, little ones," she whispered to the empty air. "The quiet human is about to make some noise." Nadia's encrypted message received a response faster than expected. Her old academy friend, intelligence officer Rook Torres, had sent back a single line: "Check cargo bay maintenance shaft 47B. Attached were schematics that definitely weren't in the station's public database. She waited until the artificial night cycle was in full swing before making her move. The maintenance shaft was exactly where Torres's schematics indicated, hidden behind a panel that looked perfectly ordinary unless you knew about the slight discoloration in the corner. Inside, she found what she needed: proof. A hidden surveillance system, carefully concealed, recording every illegal transaction that passed through the cargo bay. Torres's message made sense now. Federation intelligence had been watching, gathering evidence for a larger operation. But they didn't know about the hatchlings. About the immediate danger to the children. Her wrist computer vibrated, another alert from the Vraxian nursery. 3 more hatchlings missing. The syndicate was accelerating their operation. They must have realized someone was catching on. Nadia's jaw clenched. The Federation's larger investigation didn't matter anymore. She needed to act now. Her next stop was her personal quarters, specifically the hidden compartment beneath her research equipment. Inside was something that technically shouldn't exist: a modified combat suit from her days in the Federation Research Protection Division, before she'd chosen the quieter path of pure science. The suit hummed to life as she put it on, its adaptive camouflage adjusting to the station's lighting. Some habits died hard, and keeping emergency equipment had proven useful more than once during her career. Computer, locate Dr. Ven Korlix. Dr. Korlix is currently in Laboratory Complex C. Perfect. Time for a conversation. The laboratory complex was dimly lit, running on night cycle power settings. Nadia moved silently through the corridors, her suit sensors detecting only one life sign ahead. She found Korlix hunched over a terminal, frantically deleting files. "Going somewhere, Doctor?" Korlix spun, his scaled face paling. "Dr. Patel. I was just finishing some work." "Really? Because it looks like you're destroying evidence." Nadia stepped closer, her suit systems recording everything. "Evidence of how you helped the syndicate target vulnerable species. How you used your knowledge to help them steal children." "You don't understand," Korlix hissed, his professional demeanor cracking. "The research potential, the advancements we could make. By trafficking in children?" Nadia's voice could have frozen plasma. "By destroying families? They're not even human children. Why do you care?" The question hung in the air for a moment. Nadia thought of the empty pools, of desperate parents across multiple species. Of humanity's long journey among the stars, and the one truth they'd learned again and again. Because someone has to, she said quietly. Because every child deserves protection, no matter their species. And because you picked the wrong station to target. Corlix lunged for the alarm panel. Nadia moved faster, her suit enhancing her natural speed. One precise strike, and the corrupt xenobiologist crumpled to the floor. Computer, security override Patel Omega 9. Lock down laboratory complex C and notify security officer Rylix. Send all terminal data from this lab to their office. But she wasn't done. Corlix was just one piece of the puzzle. The next shipment was scheduled for tonight, and somewhere on this station, more children were waiting to be sold. Her wrist computer blinked with an incoming transmission. Elder ZYX's voice was urgent. Dr. Patel, we've detected unusual power fluctuations in Cargo Bay 6. The pattern matches the previous disappearances, Nadia finished. I'm on my way. Contact Officer Rylix, tell them to send everything they have to Cargo Bay 6. And ZYX. Keep this channel open. I'm going to need your help. As she moved through the station's service corridors, Nadia activated her suit's full combat systems. The syndicate had spent years building their operation, exploiting legal loopholes and diplomatic immunity. They thought they were untouchable. Time to remind them that humanity had earned its reputation not just through intelligence or technology, but through an unshakable determination to protect those who couldn't protect themselves. The cargo bay ahead hummed with power, the distinctive signature of stasis units preparing for transport. Nadia checked her suit's sensors one last time and allowed herself a grim smile. Let's show them why you don't mess with children while humans are around. The cargo bay's environmental controls had been overridden, creating a perfect cocktail of atmospheric conditions for sedating multiple species. Nadia's suit filtered the air as she moved between towering stacks of cargo containers. Her sensors identified 6 units with the telltale energy signatures of stasis fields. Elder ZYX, I'm sending you readings from 6 containers. Can you confirm these match Vraxian life signs? 3 match our hatchlings, ZYX replied through her secure channel. The others. Dr. Patel, I'm detecting Chlorthian and Meridian biosignatures. They're all children. Nadia's blood boiled, but she forced herself to remain focused. Her suit's sensors picked up movement, 8 armed figures in stealth gear moving efficiently between the containers. Syndicate security, professional and well-equipped. Officer Rylix, what's your status? Security teams are 2 minutes out, Doctor. But the Syndicate's ship has diplomatic clearance. If they reach their vessel, they won't. Nadia accessed the cargo bay's systems through her suit's interface. The Syndicate might have overridden the environmental controls, but they hadn't counted on someone who'd spent 3 years learning every detail of the station's operations. She activated her suit's tactical display, marking the positions of each guard. The Syndicate's people were good, but they were used to dealing with bureaucrats and scientists. They weren't prepared for someone with Research Protection Division training. Computer, execute Program Patel 7. The cargo bay's lights flickered and died, plunging the vast chamber into darkness. Before the guards could react, emergency containment fields snapped into place around each cargo section, isolating them into smaller groups. Nadia moved. Her suit's enhanced capabilities and night vision gave her every advantage. The first 2 guards went down before they realized what was happening, precise strikes leaving them unconscious. What's going on? One guard's panicked voice carried through the darkness. Control, we need backup. Control can't help you, Nadia's voice echoed through the bay's comm system. You're locked in here. With me. A guard fired blindly, plasma bolts illuminating the darkness for split seconds. Nadia was already moving, using the cargo containers as cover. Her suit's systems identified the weapon's energy signature, adjusting her shields accordingly. 3 more guards fell to quick, efficient strikes. They were trained for stealth and intimidation, not combat with an opponent who could see in the dark and move faster than they could track. Security teams in position, Rylix announced. But Dr. Patel, they're powering up their ship. If they transmit the diplomatic codes. Elder ZYX, Nadia interrupted, dodging another plasma burst. Remember those environmental adjustments they used? Send them the data. Now. She heard ZYX's sharp intake of breath as they understood. Moments later, alarms blared across the station. Multiple species environmental protocols had been violated, diplomatic immunity or not, the syndicate's ship was now legally required to submit to inspection. The remaining guards realized their position was untenable. 2 tried to surrender. The last one, larger than the others, probably their leader, made a break for the stasis units. Can't let you inspect our cargo, he growled, reaching for the controls. Might have an unfortunate accident. He never finished the sentence. Nadia crossed the space between them with enhanced speed, her strike precise and devastating. The guard commander collapsed, his attempt to harm the children earning him considerably less mercy than his companions. Cargo bay secure, she reported, already moving to the stasis units. Officer Rylix, we have multiple children requiring immediate medical attention. And several suspects who need to explain exactly how they acquired diplomatic clearance. The station's security teams flooded in, securing the scene. Medical teams rushed to the stasis units, carefully reviving the stolen children. Nadia watched as the first Vraxian hatchlings were reunited with their elders, their scales flickering with joy and relief. The syndicate will fight this, Rylix noted, their crystalline form shifting with concern. They have powerful allies. Let them. Nadia's voice was steel. We have proof of their entire operation. And more importantly. She gestured to the reunited families, to the children being rescued from other stasis units. We have proof of what they were willing to do to children. No amount of diplomatic immunity can survive that. As she helped coordinate the medical response, Nadia's wrist computer chimed with a message from Torres, nicely done. Federation intelligence is moving on syndicate operations in 3 sectors. Your evidence broke the case wide open. Nadia smiled, watching a young Clorthian seedling literally glowing with happiness as they were returned to their parent. The syndicate had spent years building their criminal empire, using legal loopholes and political influence to shield themselves from consequences. They never realized their biggest mistake wasn't choosing this station, or targeting these species. Their biggest mistake was assuming that humanity's reputation for protecting the innocent was just a stereotype. Tonight, they'd learned otherwise. And soon, the galaxy would be reminded once again, you don't harm children in human space. Not ever. The next few weeks transformed Station Omega. News of the trafficking ring's exposure spread across galactic networks, triggering investigations at dozens of research stations. The Crimson Syndicate's carefully constructed empire crumbled as evidence of their operations came to light. Nadia stood at the observation deck, watching ships from various species arrive to collect their rescued young. The Vraxian hatchlings had already been returned to their pools, their scales now shimmering with healthy colors. The Clorthian seedlings were thriving under careful supervision, and the Meridian younglings had reunited with their clan groups. Dr. Patel. Elder ZYX approached, their scales rippling with deep gold, the color of profound gratitude. The Council of Species has finished their deliberations. She'd been expecting this. After the incident, the Council had convened an emergency session to address the security of research stations and the protection of vulnerable species. What she hadn't expected was their solution. They want to establish a new division, ZYX continued. The Interstellar Protection Agency. Joint oversight, multiple species working together to prevent exploitation. And they want you to help build it. Nadia raised an eyebrow. Me? I'm just a xenobiologist. You're the human who reminded us why your species earned its reputation. Officer Rylix joined them, their crystalline form gleaming. The council reviewed your actions. You didn't just stop criminals, you showed us our blind spots. How we become so focused on diplomatic protocols that we'd forgotten our duty to protect. The observation deck's windows reflected the stars beyond, countless points of light where other stations, other worlds, needed protection. The syndicate hadn't been the first to exploit the gaps between species jurisdictions, and they wouldn't be the last. The new agency needs someone who understands both science and security, Rylix explained. Someone who sees beyond species differences to recognize universal rights. Especially for the young. Nadia thought about her time in the Research Protection Division, how she'd chosen to pursue pure science instead. But maybe this was why, maybe she'd needed both experiences to understand what was truly needed. There's more, ZYX added. The Vraxian Clutch Council has established a new protocol. Any human serving on a research station automatically receives guardian status for all hatchlings. Other species are adopting similar measures. Guardian status? Nadia blinked in surprise. Such recognition was usually reserved for their most trusted elders. Our young ones ask about you, ZYX's scales flickered with amusement. They call you the quiet protector. The story of how one human defended children of multiple species, it's spreading. Parents across the galaxy are requesting human presence on their stations. Through the window, Nadia watched a Meridian transport depart, carrying their rescued younglings home. Each point of light out there represented not just a star or station, but families who deserved to know their children were safe. The galaxy's changing, Rylix observed. Species that rarely cooperated are establishing joint protection protocols. The council's even discussing standardized laws for the protection of all sentient young. Nadia smiled. The syndicate had thought they were exploiting weaknesses between species. Instead, they'd inadvertently sparked something powerful, a recognition that some things transcended diplomatic protocols and species differences. The need to protect the innocent was universal. Tell the council I accept, she said finally. But I have conditions. The new agency needs teeth, real authority to act across jurisdictions. And I want to establish training programs. Every station should have people prepared to protect their residents. The humans are teaching us again, ZYX remarked, their scales showing thoughtful blue patterns. Not through force or technology, but through example. We're not teaching, Nadia corrected gently. We're reminding. Every spacefaring species had to protect their young to reach the stars. We just, never forgot how. As she began drafting plans for the new agency, Nadia received messages from stations across the galaxy. Stories of other trafficking operations being exposed, of species working together to protect their vulnerable members. The quiet revolution she'd sparked was spreading. The syndicate had made a fatal error in their calculations. They'd assumed that humanity's protective reputation was just stories, that one quiet xenobiologist couldn't challenge their operation. They'd learned what countless others had discovered before, humanity's greatest strength wasn't in weapons or technology. It was in their unshakable determination to protect those who needed protection, their refusal to stand by when the innocent were threatened. And now, thanks to one human's actions, that determination was spreading across the stars, creating something new, a galaxy where the strong protected the vulnerable, where children of all species could grow up safe. The quiet xenobiologist had changed everything. And she was just getting started.